So I'm. This is the fall of fiat money. That's what we're seeing. I mean, El Salvador was the spark, the Bitcoin spark, and it's starting a revolution, and it's spreading to Latin America. We see it in Africa. There's a revolution going on. There's a huge power shift, right? So the U.S. and Great Britain and maybe some European powers and others are going to lose power. I mean, and some other powers are going to rise up. But it's that's just the cycle. That's one of the cycles. Certainly, there's a revolution going on there. But, I mean, this is, we're in a new reality, folks. It's a new reality. It's time to make the adjustments to this new reality. That's just the way it is, right? Side to beating somebody up for their Bitcoin is very low because it's unconfiscatable. So you have to come at them with something else to get their Bitcoin, something value for value. You will help them fix their roof and they'll get some Bitcoin. You can't just hit them on the head with a hammer and steal their Bitcoin. So that process is going to take some time. Those who fight it will be stuck in the fiat world and they're never going to make it. Those who are taking Bitcoin on as legal tender, as the global standard, they'll be Noah's Ark, sailing into the new paradigm, but that's where we're at right now. So you've got Bitcoin has essentially thrown the gauntlet down and said, either you're with Bitcoin or you're against Bitcoin. If you're against Bitcoin, prepare to reap the whirlwind of your stupidity. If you're with Bitcoin, prepare for relentless optimism. And so with Bitcoin, the values are consistent throughout the entire tribe or the entire community of unconfiscatable, uncensorable, immutable wealth. I mean, those three kind of phrases are like the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost in Christianity. There are three things that everyone in Christianity accepts if they're a Christian. Okay. There are three things that everyone in the Bitcoin community accepts: unconfiscatability, immutability, uncensorability. That's three things we accept as being true, and therefore that offers a communion when you meet other people. So that's absolutely true. And it's because it's perfect money and you have perfect price discovery, it means it's going to win. So we have confidence. Well, it would be lovely to have some Bitcoin ETFs, physical Bitcoin ETFs. It's remarkable that they introduced the futures-based ETF product, which is a known scam, which is immediately got crushed and killed a lot of retail investors. That was done knowingly by the SEC to dissuade people from buying Bitcoin. The retail-friendly product is the physical cash-only Bitcoin product. So, I mean, the story about ETFs and Bitcoin is not a story about whether or not you will see a Bitcoin ETF. It's a story about corruption at the SEC. Gary Gensler. And Jon Stewart did an excellent interview with Gary Gensler. You can look it up somewhere, where he just pins him down and says, you guys are crooks. And he said, well, we do civil lawsuits and a lot of fines are paid. And Jon Stewart said, yeah, and less than half of those fines are actually paid. So it's a story of corruption, and that leads ultimately to war, and that's where we're at now, folks. Well, you got deglobalization and de-dollarization. So those two themes we identified 2 years ago, and then we said this year would be the big year for de-dollarization and deglobalization. And so that's what we're talking about. So both of those things were, had a lifespan that would eventually come to an end. The U.S. dollar is a world reserve currency since the end of World War II, so called 70, 75 years. You had the U.S. dollar as world reserve currency. Since 1971, it became a Ponzi scheme. And the theme of extend and pretend became the dominant force in the global economy, where all problems were solved by printing more money and extending the maturity of all the bonds and lowering the coupon. And in this way, you had malinvestment, you had the rise of the kleptocrats in America and around the world. You had the financialization boom, and you had the deindustrialization that went on in the United States that could only be made possible if you had concurrently a financialization and a transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top. So anyway, the bond market, which is the Ponzi market base layer, after many, many years talking about when will the bond market finally roll over and we enter a secular bear market for bonds, I think I'm 99% sure now that that's what's just happened. We're entering a secular bear market for bonds. That means that interest rates will be going up for the next 5, 10, or 15 years. It's a secular move in interest rates higher. So that's the de-dollarization. Deglobalization was held together by financialization. So when you pull the pins of financialization out of the monster that was the global empire of debt, you have now countries are breaking apart, and this is causing a lot of agita. Now, there was a school of thought that suggested that the U.S. dollar would continue as world reserve currency and that the Bitcoin would be the world reserve asset. And I never bought into that theory. I questioned it. I just didn't see that happening. It seems to me that Bitcoin was going to eat all the fiat money world in the world, and it was going to eat gold, and it was going to eat all assets. And so when you have the rise of Bitcoin and you have the fall of fiat, that fall of fiat is going to be everything attached to fiat. The petrodollar is certainly attached to fiat. The military-industrial complex is attached to fiat. The global bond market is attached to fiat. So when these things crack and they fall apart, it's going to be kinetic, very kinetic. And people are going to be like, bang, 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 shooting at each other because, this is revert to human nature, which is one of the biggest cycles of all. Human nature is something that you can't really escape from.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.